They say the richest man in Seoul died with one final secret. And he left everything, every last won, to the woman who cleaned his floors. Her name was Minji. She was nobody. Until the day she became everybody's target. Minji Yoon was 26 years old, invisible by design. She woke before dawn every morning in a small rented room in Mapo district, a cracked ceiling above her, a photo of her late mother beside her bed. She worked as a live-in maid at the Kong estate, a 40-room glass mansion overlooking the Han River, owned by Kong Hyun-soo, the 70-year-old CEO of Korea's most powerful tech empire. To the world, Kong Hyun-soo was untouchable, cold, a man who had buried 2 wives, raised 3 ruthless children, and built a fortune worth $14 billion. But to Minji, he was just the old man who left warm soup outside the kitchen for her on cold nights, who always said, "You work too hard, child." She never asked why he was kind to her. She was just grateful someone was. Then, one Tuesday morning in November, Kong Hyun-soo collapsed in his private study. By Thursday, the doctors gave him 72 hours. And on Friday, a lawyer arrived at the estate with a sealed envelope and Minji's name written on the front. The reading of the will was set for Sunday. Kang's 3 children, his eldest son Jae-won, daughter Soo-yeon, and youngest son Tae-min, had already begun dividing the empire in their minds. Jae-won had already chosen which penthouse he'd take. Soo-yeon had already called the lawyers about the Jeju Island resort. Tae-min had already told his friends he would be the next most powerful man in Korea. None of them expected what came next. The lawyer cleared his throat, opened the document, and began to read. I, Kang Hyun-soo, being of sound mind, do hereby leave my entire estate, all holdings, properties, shares, and liquid assets totaling $14.3 billion to Yoon Minji. Then, Jae-won's chair scraped back. Who? He turned slowly to the corner of the room, where Minji stood frozen, still holding a serving tray, her face white as paper. The maid? Soo-yeon's voice was ice. He left everything to the maid? Minji's hands were shaking. She hadn't known. Not a single word. Kong Hyun-soo had never told her. He had simply chosen her. Within hours, the estate became a battlefield. Jae-won hired lawyers to contest the will. Soo-yeon called journalists, feeding them a story that Minji had manipulated a dying old man, that she was a con artist, a seductress, a thief. And by Monday morning, Minji's face was on every screen in Korea. Strangers called her a monster. Her name trended with words like fraud and shame. She had no lawyer, no family, no money of her own. The fortune was frozen pending legal challenge. And someone had slashed her tires. Then, the notes started. Slipped under her door. Leave while you still can. Dead maids don't inherit. Minji went to the police. They told her it was probably just public frustration. She was alone. But then, she remembered something. The last time she had seen Kang Hyun-soo conscious, he had pressed a small key into her palm. Room 4B, he had rasped. Don't let them find it first. Room 4B. The locked room on the 4th floor. The room no one was ever allowed to enter. Not even her. That night, past midnight, Minji crept through the dark estate. Up the marble stairs. Down the silent hallway. Her hands trembling as she slid the key into the lock. The door opened. The room was not empty. It was a study. Walls lined with photographs, documents, letters. And in the center of the desk, a leather-bound journal and an envelope sealed with one word. Whisper, daughter. Minji's legs gave way. Inside the journal, Kang Hyun-soo had written 30 years of entries about a woman he had loved and abandoned when he was young and ambitious and afraid. A woman named Yoon Soo-ah. Minji's mother. Kang Hyun-soo was her father. He had known for years. He had hired her, not by accident. He had watched over her, silently, because he was too ashamed to say the words out loud. And in the final letter, in shaking handwriting, he had written, Minji, you were never the maid. You were always my daughter. Forgive a coward who loved you too late. The court case lasted 4 months. A DNA test confirmed everything. Kang Jae-won, Soo-yeon, and Taemin. They lost. Every appeal, every motion, every threat. Minji stood in the estate on the morning of her first day as its legal owner. the same marble floors she had mopped for 3 years. The same chandeliers she had cleaned on a ladder at 6 a.m. She walked to the window overlooking the Han River, and for a long moment, she didn't see a billionaire's empire. She saw a father who didn't know how to say the words. A man who gave her everything because he couldn't give her the one thing she needed most: his name. Min Ji-yoon kept the estate. She turned half of it into a foundation for children raised by single mothers. She named it after her mother. Because in the end, the maid didn't just inherit a fortune. She inherited the truth. And that was worth more than all of it.